Porsche Coast might have fallen early in game number 1, but the rest of his game was fantastic. I mean, Taco, is there anybody specifically that you're looking at rival? Because for me, it's been all about the Hunter.
I think there's been a lot riding off a 50-meter Fly, actually, and this matchup between Fly and Boronic, probably one of my more favorable ones to witness, in fact, because I think that Boronic is a standout player without a doubt. I mean, all the guys from like North America have been giving a ton of credit towards Fly recently because they're really starting to see that Europe has its mid laners that can go toe-to-toe, and it's impressive to see players like Fly standing up against guys like Boronic who have been around the block more than once. And Boronic, for what it's worth, I think is definitely going to need to be one of the key figures here for Astral Authority if they want to find a response in Game 2.
And can we talk about that apple that was thrown from Fly onto Boronic? That was pretty to watch. And between the Agony and Discordia that they were playing, they're very similar gods in the aspect of the control factor. The Strive versus the Agony bomb stuns both going over the walls. So for me, when I saw those two drafts, I figured it was very evenly based draft in compositions, but it was more about how they would execute, and Rival definitely came out swinging.
Make me angry.
Same bans for Astral Authority. Want to keep that Zeus out of the hands of Fly, something that I think that they've established that is just really tough to deal with. Again, the stat is 3 games of Zeus, 0 deaths for 50-meter Fly, so that one's gone. Zeus and Terra banned out by Astral, Rival banned out Achilles, and the Odin. First pick your color.
It's all about the shutting down Wolves, it seems, if you're a Rival, and that's why I love that Astral are actually prioritizing the Coviiii pick so early on. Give Wolves a god that he can afford to play super aggressive with. Don't leave him on the Guardians where he's hanging out in the open and kind of just waiting for the team fights to occur, because now on this Coviiii, we might be able to see some very similar demeanor to what we've been witnessing out of Predators.
And that's, I'm glad you mentioned his name, because the Coviiii, this is a 2-for-1 for me for Astral. One, you're empowering Wolves, and you're also taking away a pick that Predators has looked fantastic on.
Even though Wolves can pilot Guardians very effectively against an aggressive solo player such as Wolves, you need to fight fire with fire. So Coviiii, one of the high priority picks outside of Achilles to do so.
And I want to lean on you here, Anatoly. For those newer to the scene, you're a pro-level player yourself, retiring once, well, maybe a long time ago, but you still got that solo knowledge. I mean, this has been, I mentioned I'm looking at the Hunter a lot, but that's really just about pushing the buttons. The solo laners and the way that their individual play style affects the LAN meta has been really interesting to watch.
And Predators making the impact in the last set against Elevate, even though he was playing almost just reckless to the point of giving up first blood, almost giving up first blood rather, he brought it back when he was playing the Hercules. He has the confidence in himself that even if he fails in a potential play where he was off by 1 basic attack, he comes back into the laning phase as if nothing ever even happened. And that's a huge positive for Rival, because the way he transitioned in that mid to late game carried them in the set.
Discordia and Robin will be the selections for Rival here. Option over to Astral as they look to finish up their first half of the draft. And Robin in the jungle, most likely for Rapio, earning MVP in game number 1. If you're just joining us, it's tied 1-1 in a best of 5. Astral came in with the advantage, so very eager to see how this one winds up. Global prowess out of Athena for Astral.
Giannis is still on the table here if Astral want to opt for it, but instead it's going to be the Uller. Don't really think that that's going to be for Boronic, kind of expecting this to be headed into the hands of Coviiii, but wouldn't be opposed to seeing Boronic pilot the Uller either. I think that pressure that Uller can provide in the mid lane would be super strong against the Discordia, and I also kind of feel as though Rival opting for the Discordia so early on is a nice flavor change, because it means that Astral have to decide between securing a mid laner for themselves or watching as Rival take away a lot of the priority picks.
In their set yesterday, I believe it was Porsche Coast, in game number 1, where he soloed Coviii's Uller with the Hachiman at 20 minutes. So wouldn't be surprised if they look back at the tape and be like, okay, maybe we don't give this to Coviiii. Maybe we give it to Boronic, because Hunter versus Mage, basic attacks favoring the Hunter. You might get that 1v1 boxing potential and allow potentially Layers to make those plays happen.
That said, I mean, that is basically to oversimplify the PC meta. The North Americans played double Hunter,
Yes.
and the Europeans played Mage, and we watched the North Americans get trounced. Is that not a tip to not bring the Hunter in there, or do you think it's a larger conversation?
It's a larger conversation because you could still run a Mage in the dual lane. You can run Soul, Chronos, Freya if you really want to. It hasn't been too popular as of recent, but the possibilities are there. We've even seen the Ryshans from Europe in the dual lane, even the Nuaz.
Second round of bans here. Sobek and Hercules love this attention that Astral is paying to that solo lane Predators. You've got Sobek and Hercules, two different playstyles covering both bases. I think this is very intelligent. And then the Giannis and the Cupid rival just looking at Astral's tape from yesterday. Sylvanas, the guardian of choice for the Purple Hoods.
And Sylvanas just going straight for the kill lane here if you're rival. I think that there's going to definitely be some buffed invade opportunities provided because of this Sylvanas pickup. So Astral Authority, I need to see a response. They need pressure back from the jungle specifically. Otherwise, it's going to be way too easy for Rapio to just trail on over into the duo lane and start looking for the red and purple invades alongside of his team.
And specifically, what do you want to see in the jungle?
The Ratatasker. I need it.
There's a lot of high priority junglers. Sarket's available, Nemesis, Ratatasker with a global pressure. If those invades come before level 5, Rival might be able to sneak it through, but after level 5, it makes it that much riskier.
I love this raw pickup. I'm also going to let the tier across the way for the same reason. They're empowering the powerful players. Oboronic has been the guy that's been stepping up for Astral. Predators has done a great job, and now both of them have tools to bring the pain.
I like that tier pick because, number one, obviously, fearlessing in the back line is going to create that disruption that Hercules can also do, but more importantly, it's that passive, not being able to be CC'd for longer than a second against an Athena, Uller, Rat, even Coviiii knockup. There's a lot of CC chains that Astral can get off, and that could be the tipping point if Predators can get out of the equation.
It's a huge point. Tier might be the tipping point for Anatoly. Is the Ratatasker the tipping point for Astral, or is it elsewhere?
I still prefer Astral's compositions. I think that Rival might be, if they win this game, I think that they might just flat out be the better team. But overall, Astral has had such solid drafts in both Game 1 and Game 2.
For me, it's all about Oboronic and him stepping up. Totally, how you feeling about this one?
It's Rival. They have the control between Sylvanas and Tier, and I think that Layers is looking lackluster right now, whereas on the flip side, Rapio looking hot.
Well, let's get right into it. Game number 2. It's Finch and Ryan on the horn.
Thank you, Tom, Taco, and Toli for breaking that one down for us, Finch and Aggro here. And it is going to be, yet again, Rapio on this Robin pick. He looks so good on it in Game 1. Is that enough for you to think that Rival can take this one too? Vote for us, please, in Mixer Chat.
I agree with Taco. I love everything about Astral's draft.
And in Game 1, right?
Yeah, I love their draft there too.
Yeah.
Problem is, you just gave Rapio the Robin again, but this composition has potential to do a little bit better into it. There's more CC that is going to force that overhead kick, force the Mystic Rush. I love Oboronic on the Raw. I think it matches the sustain that the Sylvanas is going to have on the other side very nicely. But Predators gets a signature pick in the tier. Rapio back on the Robin. I don't know. It's going to be close.
And you mentioned that Predators is on this tier is sort of like a pick that he's very comfortable with.
Yes.
But is he going to be able to play it as just straight up disrespectfully aggressive as he always does? I mean, does he have the same tools at his disposal that he would with the Coviiii that we've seen him on earlier, the Hercules?
Yes, it does have that same sort of, I don't care what you're going to do, I'm just going to do me, and you're going to hold that sort of mentality as he picks up the Blink at level 1 as well to really push that point home, I suppose, on the tier. I still think that this is a great pick for Predators. It's not a pick that we see a whole lot of, but in this particular matchup, he's not too worried about getting his Fearless interrupted. Last pick tier, I still think, has a real place in the meta. I mean, the spring split on the PC at SPL, Divios was playing a lot of tier and seeing a lot of success with it.
Yeah.
I think Predators could do the same here.
And you're right, he did have to opt into that Blink. That's something that's kind of forced, I feel like, onto tier. Force his hand, if you will.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you,
Very
but yeah.
well done.
But Predators is going to be able to play it very well. It fits his playstyle and the tier perfectly over here in the solo lane, whereas we're actually seeing a different start from the duo lane from Astral Authority. It looks like they're going to be over to the red buff right away. Recognize they have a Porsche Coast and DineOhSaw. Probably we're going to get the pressure. Now they come over to the purple buff, which it looks like Inbound was able to come over and try and defend.
Oh, Coviiii just a little bit too far out of range to hit that axe, and that's the response is from the duo lane to start at red buff is exclusively because Hachi Sylvanas is an incredibly potent combination. We usually talk about Heavenly Banner being really, really critical for other ADCs and that kind of stuff to do extra damage with their in-hands. Giving Sylvanas extra attack speed in lane is actually very relevant to help your clear speed. Sylvanas autos, man, they do quite a bit of work.
Coviiii and Inbound are going to continue moving into the jungle, as you said, boosted a little bit. Or rather, they were the ones who fell behind early. Now they're looking to see if there's any jungle they could grab, and instead there was not. DineOhSaw and Vaporous Coast come back to the duo lane with them. They're going to continue trying to grab their clear advantage. And this is what this duo lane from Rival, I feel like they really like to do, especially up against one that they perceive to be weaker than them, right? So get themselves on some really high clear gods to start this off with and try and punish Coviiii and Inbound.
And I like that idea with how poorly Astral responded to Rival being the aggressors in that first game of this best of 5. But I wonder if this time Astral is going to be a little bit more ready for it. This composition fights early a lot better than Astral's previous composition did, and that could be a big difference here. I wonder if Rival's going to try and switch up their play style and go back to that team fighting style.
And you heard Totally talk about it, right? There's something to having been warmed up here as the sprint comes out and DineOhSaw forced a little bit to retreat. Inbound, give him a little bit of laugh, and the pull comes out, just doesn't quite land in this duo lane. But, I mean, Rival are able to come in so hot because they just got through playing. Astral, because they came through the winner's bracket, they did sort of have a game to lose. So now they can, you know, they can sort of get it in gear and play better here in this game.
Yeah, again, I'm always on the side of, as long as it's not a super long set that I have to, you know, use all of my energy on, then I'll be able, that I would much rather have played beforehand than coming in cold right away. It usually takes about a game, half a game, game and a half, it depends on the player, but I don't think anyone is really ready from moment one to get right into a LAN game, especially a grand finals like this. I really think that having a game to warm up is an advantage.
Astral going to be able to come down and secure their red this time, so they don't have to worry about invades happening, as it is going to be oBoronic they send over to grab that. Rapio again rotating over with Predators to help him secure his blue, but they're not looking to be aggressive, it looks like, into the enemy jungle, as Bobby is going to try and catch them on top of the purple buff. Not going to be able to stop or either take the purple buff away, but at least slow him down.
Ooh, nice steal, though. I believe that went Astral Authority's way. Good axe from Coviiii as well. Fly was on the rotation, but red buff is still up and midwave is pushing in, so instead decides to go for the guaranteed farm. Bit of a safer call there.
Layers going to meet Rapio here in the jungle. Catch a little bit of damage with missed 50-meter fly as well, but he's winning the trade pretty handily. The snipe from Boronic hits, and that's first blood the way of Astral Authority. Yet again, Astral starts off good.
And that's the heat check that I wanted to see from Boronic. Hits level 5. The slow from Layers is good setup, but not perfect setup, of course, for a raw snipe. But I love the confidence. Just let it fly, man. Let it go. Because if you start to get into a rhythm with Raw, I really believe that Smite in general is a really rhythm-based game. I compare it to basketball a lot in that regard, where you can start feeling yourself. You know, you're hitting your rhythm shots, all that kind of stuff. Raw is like, Raw and Thoth are the two penultimate rhythm gods that just, when you starting to get into a zone, you feel like you can hit anyone with anything. And getting that first one on the board is a great start for Boronic.
And I do want to talk a little bit about one of the strengths of Ratatoskr. I mean, he's able to upgrade the Acorn while he's out, right? So when Rapio is just on those tier 2 boots, he's got the fully upgraded Acorn. He's doing the extra damage and putting them into a threshold where Boronic can get that snipe off. He won the trade essentially 2v1 up against 50-meter fly and Rapio.
And that's the aggression that we're used to seeing from Layers, where Rapio shows up and Layers just stands there and goes, cool, my turn to fight now. And that's what we didn't see at all in game 1. Rapio had Layers on the run for the majority of that game.
Uses the snipe over the wall to try and contest those Harpies. Definitely lands the damage on the Rapio, though, and is able to get a little bit of extra damage onto him, who is going to meet up with Wolves at the blue buff, who is coming in aggressively. Predators is here as well, though, so they can certainly try and defend this one.
Predators, no ultimate, had to use it defensively earlier in response to Wolves, as Wolves just misses being able to steal that blue buff away.
Predator's going to continue boxing it out, though. He has gotten a little bit lower. Rage form over for now, but Predators happy to box it out. Meanwhile, Coviiii, Inbound, and Layers all here to try and steal the purple buff. This is entirely different from what we saw in Game 1. The aggressors onto the bus this time are Astral.
And that's what we're used to seeing from Astral Authority in their games. They like to be the aggressors in the early game. They don't really prefer to sit around and wait for the team fighting stage. NA, historically, even PC, console, doesn't really seem to matter. They like to be the aggressors in the early game, and something in the water here, I guess. But I definitely more Astral Authority flavor in this one in comparison to what we saw in Game 1.
And still hanging out on the duo side is Layers. Has the ultimate available as well, but instead is going to fall back. They have the dual lane of Rival kind of pushed up close to the tower. Not going to be the easiest gank in the world, even for the Rap. But the axe lands after the taunt. Vaporish has to back off.
Really good damage there out of Coviiii. Good accuracy as well with that hail of arrows once Vaporish dashes away. Vaporish did hold on to the beads, though, as Inbound charging ult.
Looks like they are going to try and come over here towards Predators, and he is going to back off. Meanwhile, continuing aggression from Layers on the Rapio in the jungle. Can't quite find that hit either. Everyone just barely making it out of these engagements. Very, very close, as now Inbound going to rotate on the backhand side for 50-meter Fly.
Fly has beads, but a well-timed leap gets him out of range of that confound without having to use his relic. Well played.
Predators still again low, though, in the mid lane, and or rather over in the solo lane as MOR Wolves continues to try and push him further back. These solo laners are going to continue to box it out, though, but what a play from 50-meter Fly to avoid the rotation back in. Inbound goes over to the solo lane to try and help out there, rotates back in to try and set up in the mid lane as well. Can't quite find it, though. Able to just barely jump away with that erratic behavior.
And even Boronic's build has changed up this time around. Agni can be very aggressive in the early game. I don't think you necessarily need Warlock Staff on Agni by any stretch, but that's still what Boronic went for, was more worried about his HP pool, staying safe. This game on the Ra, who often also needs that HP, sometimes even more than Agni does, says, nah, I'm good, I don't need that. Let me get Chronos Pendant right off the bat. I want to snipe as many people as possible in the early game, boost my damage numbers, be able to move around the map quickly, and I love this adjustment. It just, I just feel like someone on Astral said, yo guys, why are we playing so scared? Let's just play our game. Let's just be ready for how we usually play. And they're building accordingly, and they're picking accordingly as well.
Dashing in is Inbound, finds the taunt. Ultimate 50-meter Fly avoids getting pulled in, so it's really Inbound who ends up taking a good bit of damage in return. Now they have to leave. The Ultimate 50-meter Fly and Boronic were both used, but no relics.
Like the idea from Boronic, usually off of the Athena taunt, you could use that 1-4 combo and really deal a lot of damage, but Inbound's only level 6, so imagine he's only got a couple points into that confound. I don't know if he's leveling shield wall on top of that. Some Athenas will elect to go for the shield wall. In this sort of composition, I think 1 point in shield wall is just fine because you're clearing so well with an Ullr in lane anyways that you don't really need that additional clear. I think that Bobby should be trying to level that taunt as soon as possible to make sure that that combo will hit from Boronic next time.
8.5 minutes in here, we've been talking about how Astral is playing more aggressively this game, and I think that they have a little bit more freedom to do it because their composition is actually pretty good at getting around the map, right? Between Inbound on the Athena, between Layers on the Ratatosker. You know, if you go further into the jungle, help is probably coming, right? You know, the Rat can suddenly show up, and so can the Athena. So I think they're playing with this extra confidence, not just because they know they need to, but because of their comp as well.
Oh, DineOhSaw with a well-timed ultimate gets him out of that knockup, and now Layers is very low. Still trying to put the damage into DineOhSaw, and Boronic will finish it off with a really nice beam from in the mid lane. Well played there by both sides, but Boronic ends up on top.
Comes out to that little bit better. Feels like they just didn't quite have enough there, as it was good damage for 50-meter Fly in return, but it felt like that was kind of all they had as the rotation came over from Layers and Boronic and Inbound. That's kind of exactly what I was referring to, where they just end up with the numbers advantage.
Really, really nicely timed ultimate, though, from DineOhSaw. Prevents the Wombo combo from happening there with the Rat ult straight into that Searing Pain ultimate from Ra, but still, even despite that good play, still ends up falling, and because of that pressure here available for Boronic, who snipes away the red buff, using that CDR from Chronos Pendant nicely. He's got 30% between Mage's Blessing and Chronos Pendant, and then the Chronos Pendant passive, which basically makes it feel like full CDR. Love the aggressiveness with which Boronic is playing.
Layers again being aggressive in the mid lane, though. Not going to find much. Instead, going to rotate left, where Coviiii and Inbound are again stripping away the farm from Vaporous Coast and DineOhSaw. Purple buff repeatedly being invaded. And we saw him willing to commit the ultimate to take the red buff before. With that Chronos Pendant, he's free to use those to make those types of plays. And Astral Authority now with a grip around the jungle, especially on this duo side of the map.
And all these snipes from oBoronic stealing away farm, whether it's right side mid harpies, red buff, whatever it is, has really gotten him a big lead. I mean, he's up about 1.5 levels right now over 50-meter fly, and net worth charts, it's oBoronic up on top by about 1,000 gold over his opponent right now.
Now, they do land the pull, and actually that's designed to go aggressive with Vaporous Coast. The slow is going to get immune by the beads, dashes in aggressively, continue looking for the boxes. Wolf finds Predator on the right-hand side, but Vaporous Coast finds Coviiii. Now they're looking for Inbound. Here's that dual lane from Rival. They can find one more shot.
No.
Just barely makes it out.
Love that idea, and Rival just dominate that dual lane there and that little engagement. Love the patience from Vaporous to wait out the jump from Coviiii and get himself close enough to be there to impact it. If that's a double kill there for Vaporous, I think Rival have put themselves in a really great spot. That's kind of the lane play they needed. And even getting the one kill onto Coviiii is really big, but you know Vaporous and DineOhSaw are really going to be like, man, we miss an opportunity there, especially with Predators getting soloed on the right at the same time.
That hurts. I mean, likely there was some aggression there, but I think it was actually Wolves who was pushed up onto the tower line of Predators and has just gotten the better of the tier so far in lane. And to be fair, I kind of think that makes some sense. Predators are going to want to be a nightmare on the back line later on, and Wolves just kind of taking advantage early as the collapse could be on the inbound. Snipe deletes DineOhSaw, though, from oBoronic. So long to the tree.
Oh, but Rapio's looking for inbound. Nice stripe there from Fly over the wall. Gets the kill for Rapio and forces beads away from oBoronic. Little bit aggressive there in the enemy jungle, but doesn't end up costing Astral Authority too much.
Boy, this is what I was expecting, though. I mean, Astral Authority have definitely bounced back, and oBoronic has looked excellent this game as well. I mean, and as you mentioned, unafraid to find those hits, to find those shots, and looking for the snipes, able to help take down DineOhSaw there as they go aggressive onto the red buff.
And it's all been about the pressure in every lane so far. oBoronic's had it for the most part. They've had on the duo side as well, and now Layers trying to get pressure on the right side onto Rapio, but his beads will immune that knockup. Won't save his life, though, as Wolves avoids the golden apple while knocking up Predators. He'll be delivered underneath the tower, but still have that Salmon's Leap to get back to safety.
50-meter Fly still here to try and help put in some damage. They force back Layers with a good bit of damage. oBoronic and Inbound are on their way. Defender of Olympus being channeled for some extra damage. Blink comes out from Predators aggressively as always and force the Lawbringer away. Now a chance for the taunt to pull him right back in. Hits him with the damage. Does oBoronic, and one more kill goes the way of Astral Authority.
Ooh, Fly has to use the beads to make sure he doesn't get rooted, because that could have been an easy snipe off the root for oBoronic in that situation. Predators, there's that classic aggression that we've been seeing so far from him all weekend, and it'll make up a lot of big plays, but it'll also hurt you at times. Certainly a double-edged sword, and that time it's Predators who gets cut.
And Tier 1 tower ends up falling as well, and now the Pyromancer is going to be in the line of sights for Astral Authority, and why not? They've got pretty good control over here on the right-hand side, even using the snipe just to make sure, but no one was around anyway. They're going to add that to the list of accolades, and to an almost 4,000 gold lead they've managed to accumulate for themselves here at just the 13.5-minute mark.
Ra has not been seen quite a lot so far this weekend, and I'm surprised with how well oBoronic has been playing. It got banned against Astral Authority a little bit, but this has been an incredible performance from him. 4-0, level 15 already. He's up 3 levels right now over 50-meter Fly. He has backed and bought an entire Rod of Asclepius to boost the healing that he's going to be giving himself and his teammates, that Layers is going to get from his Acorn off the abilities. If Coviiii goes for Lifesteal, you get more from his Axe Stance regardless. I love this Asclepius pickup. It's aggressive still and gives him more survivability.
The Mountain Archery is coming out from Vaporous Coast. They want Coviiii, though, who had used the beads. They're going to continue to die for this one, dashing in aggressively, using the tower to try and block, but not going to be enough. They get the kill, but Inbound's rotating over. Perhaps a chance with oBoronic in tow to maybe make them pay, but DineOhSaw is coming over here as well.
Inbound has that
Good
dash
route.
charge, but here comes Layers. He's looking for Rapio. Has the overhead kick, and the flurry's not quite enough. Vaporous very low on the backside, though. oBoronic snipe gonna confirm it.
He's able to take that kill down. That's all they really needed, was to find one more kill. oBoronic clearly feeling himself at 5-0-0. Kind of lets him hear a little bit as he makes that one a 1-for-1. Vaporous Coast and Coviiii, both the ones who end up taking a spill. And now a little bit of control here around this area. Astral Authority going to go take the purple buff yet again.
And this is what I love about LAN games and watching these players compete at this sort of level, because, I mean, look, Astral got rocked game 1
Yeah.
against Rival, just dominated. And sometimes you just need someone to step up and be like, you know what? I'm still sick at this game. And that's what Boronic has done so far.
Taunt pulls DineOhSaw into a ton of damage, and Layers not ready to give up on it. Snipe does come through as well, and Rapio now feeling it a little bit as they take down Layers in return. Boronic and Inbound going to have to leave a little bit too much. That's coming out, but Predators has made the rotation. Beads has to come out from Boronic. Now they're even going to turn around and put the slow on him as well. 50-meter fly finally shut Boronic down, and that's yet another kill for Team Rival.
Oh, but here comes Wolves on the backside. Knock up on the 50-meter fly, but a nice Fearless gets both from Predators. That'll put down Inbound. Coviiii is low and on the run, where Wolves still trying to handle Fly and might be able to do so. Coviii's on the run again.
And there could be a little bit of trouble for MOR Wolves, too, on the left-hand side. 2 different fronts that this fight's happening on as they ping out Coviiii. Wolves is in trouble. Predators is here. They're going to find the root. They're going to find the damage. Maybe doesn't get the kill. Wolves does end up falling, but this is what they picked that tier for. Maybe it wasn't looking so good in lane, but as soon as he showed up in the team fights, Predators ran it from back to front.
That was a huge team fight for Predators. That cursed Ankh made a big difference as well. It made sure that Boronic didn't get enough healing. Gold Fury's low. Layers is back. Dumps down onto 2. Gold Fury very low, but Rival secure it.
And now Layers could potentially be in trouble as Vapor's Coast is landing the shots. Able to find the root over the wall. Predators get to that last hit. Now 2-2-2 is a solo laner. Rival have turned this game on its head. Gold-wise, we are all evened up. Just when we were giving credit to Astral from bouncing back from that punch, so does Rival here in game 2.
And man, so much credit deserves to go to Predators there, but what a fight from 50-meter Fly, who again keeps his death slate very nice and clean, still sitting at 0 deaths, but he's hitting everything right now. These strifes have been huge coming out of this Discordia in the mid lane. He hits 2 ultimates in that fight, got 2 Aegises out of the first one. Layers kind of panic Aegis once Boronic got hit by that golden apple, and then he hits Wolves with it later on in the fight, kites Wolves around, stays alive, and again, Layers falls way behind in farm. He's down 3 levels to Rapio again, and this time it isn't because of constant invades or anything like that. Rapio is just farming better than Layers right now.
And now looking for a chance to fight here with Inbound in the jungle, who they've caught out. Strife lands, Unruly Magic, Mystic Rush as well. The snipe came out from Boronic, but it was a little bit too early to line up along with the pull. DineOhSaw controls Layers, who was looking to try and turn things around, but now is forced to leave as Predators blinks in over the wall, but can't find anyone with the Fearless, but he's not done chasing just yet.
There's the Ankh as well. Lawbringer up and over the top, looking for Boronic, but Layers still there and low. Meanwhile, Wolves will join the fray in the middle lane, but everyone is kind of backing up from the big bad wolf.
Predators is trying to find the push onto Wolves, who has to use the ultimate, is not able to find it, but they at least find the root and the pull back in, but he continues to box up against 4 Predators, gets pushed back into the enemy team, but just merely makes it out. Layers, though, not going to get the same treatment. 50-meter fly finds it. Boronic can't find the snipe, and it's a 5v4.
Just that's where a little bit too impatient from Boronic. Inbound's coming. Wait for the taunt. Use that snipe whenever it's more guaranteed. I was just talking about how I love the rhythm. That time, a little bit too early.
And now it's Team Rival who are the aggressors. Check out Rapio's positioning. Finally, Inbound puts down the ward and they're able to recognize where Rapio is at. Team Rival appear to be positioning that maybe they're not going to look for this Tier 1 siege after all. They're going to continue to clear, but with everyone from Astral here, it's not going to be easy.
Man, almost 10k healing already for Boronic on this Ra. And that's the other thing, that no matter how, if Ra is hitting his snipes or not, he's going to be helping out the team with the heals. So certainly Boronic has been doing both of those so far in this game. Predator stole away red and purple there and gets most of a wave on this left-hand side. So Rival splitting up after trying that Tier 1 tower siege in mid. Didn't go their way on this siege, but to get both buffs and a wave to yourself on the left, Predators, I'm sure, is very happy with it.
And Astral Authority have done, I feel like, in that fight, a much better job of kind of playing around Predators a little bit. There were a couple Fearlesses he wasn't quite able to land that fight that I think could have made that much worse for Astral. So they keep the Tier 1 alive. They don't win the fight outright, but at least they don't lose as much as I feel like they could have, because Rival had full-on committed to that.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, Layers had no beads, was very, very low. Predators was just off the mark on that Blink Fearless. You're completely correct there. That could have been even worse. And Astral, despite getting off to that great start, they've kind of lost pressure in that solo lane now, because Predators has been doing good work in these team fights alongside Wolves, but Predators has done a little bit more thus far. Boronic is still in a great spot, but Fly is caught up. He's now top of the player damage charts, 3-0 and 5. He's had a phenomenal Discordia game yet again in the mid lane here for Rival. And now the dual lane is not really making an impact anymore for Astral Authority. So, and then you talk about junglers. and Layers is 3 levels down still. So now you almost feel like it's Rival who have all the momentum.
And this is kind of what can happen sometimes when your early lead comes from the global presence, those number advantages. Once the fights start being a little bit more grouped up, you don't have that same big 3v2 or 4v3 advantage that you may have had to get you some early picks. And now the team fight competition from Rival is very much coming to fruition, I feel like, from them with Predators and his disruption. 50-meter flies, impeccable positioning in all situations, apparently, has been excellent, as well as the axe lands, and they have the rat here.
Oh, Vaporish really low, and that's Coviiii baiting in Vaporish Coast. You know that Vaporish wants to fight, but Coviiii gets caught by going into spam taunt, and he's gonna get punished for it here.
He ends up getting taken down, but the overhead kick taunt's gonna land, but 50-meter fly comes in as well with the apple, places it on top of Inbound. Now to take down Layers. Rapio with the double kill.
Wow.
Coviiii might have gotten a little bit too excited there as Rival punished.
Oboronic tries to throw the snipe, but that's basically blind there. That's inexcusable, Finch. That is a double kill that happens because Coviiii feels the need to go in time. If he just backs up after that, that's a Gold Fury pull. That's Vaporish dead for 25 seconds. Maybe buff invades, but red and purple are up. That's inexcusable. That can't happen.
Nah, it hurts the team a good bit.
That's
here.
embarrassing. I'd be embarrassed. I'll be real. I would be furious if I was on that team.
Now, to be fair, there has been a lot of that back and forth here between these two teams so far, and between all our box players, but in this situation, just comes back and bites Coviiii a little bit too hard, and now Rival have a chance with oBoronic just now rejoining the fray to try and make a play happen here as Wolves gets a little bit of poke in the mid lane. Predators jumps in, forces the beads. Already a bit of a win for Rival, even if they don't continue, but of course, Predators will. Root is a little bit off the mark, but Lawbringer's here as well.
Nice ult though. Knocks up 2. Oboronic still running, and Predators will finish him off, but Layers will answer back right onto Rapio. Wolves is here and doing good damage onto Predators, but still only half HP. Vaporish has returned from the respawn. And look at where Predators is coming, around the back.
Yeah, excuse me if I implied he'd go any direction, but forward as he gets the 2-man Fearless, pushes them into the strife, and the follow-up. Good knockup from Wolves trying to turn, but not enough. Vaporish Coast takes down Layers, and another advantage going the way of the team Rival. Even have a chance for Coviiii here too, as Vaporish Coast hits the Heavenly Banner. Double kill for the young lad as they take down another fight in the mid lane.
And it's all Predators there, Finch. I mean, he sets up the initial kill onto Oboronic, then he finds the 2-man Fearless, and what a composition to capitalize off of Fearless. And that's what has really impressed me about Rival so far today, is their drafts have not always looked quite as good as Astral Authorities, but they end up working together very well. I mean, Strife is as good of an ability as you could ever use to punish grouped up players on the enemy team. Vaporish's mounted archery hits the entire team because Predators groups them nicely together, and Rival's able to take advantage because of it. Again, it's individual skill, which Rival has always had, but seldom got to display on LAN because their team play wasn't good enough. Now their team play is good enough, and we're seeing the results.
And what a way to weather the storm from Team Rival too, right? Because Astral came out of the gates firing after a very rough loss they had in the very first game that we got to watch, but instead, Team Rival stuck with it. Predators didn't have the best start. The duo lane didn't get off to the best start, but instead now they're grouping up and fighting. As you said, as a team, they have caused some real problems for Astral, pulling Pyromancer now, and really not grouped up our Astral to try and make any kind of defense.
I mean, what defense can they really make right now? They've got so few relics available, and that's what Tier really wants to fight into, is a lack of purification beads. Coviiii, Oboronic, neither of them have beads up.
They are at least able to land the root on the Wolves, so that means Defender of Olympus has to be used by the Athena. The Rage transformation's over now from Wolves. That won't be available if they aggress, and of course, Predators will find the pull into Inbound, pushes him right back into the damage. Big knock-up, though, from Wolves. Sets up the snipe, but Inbound falls either way. Vaporish Coast finds the hit.
That was a really nice turnaround, though. Wolves set up beautifully for Oboronic, as did Inbound. Problem is, Layers didn't really join. That could have been a team fight that I think Astral could have taken, but instead they're dedicating themselves to the split push.
Oboronic now is in trouble. 50-meter fly gets the last hit. Now Wolves is in a bad spot. Mystic Rush comes out on top. Thorns is ticking, but not going to deter. Vaporish Coast gets one more hit. But at this point, they're getting the Tier 2 towers. Astral are at least trading out structures, but Rival are on their way to the Fire Giant.
Yeah, this is, what, 4K gold between the 2 Tier 2s and the 2 Tier 1s.
It's a lot.
Astral just got, but Rapio and Predators, they're going to back to defend this left side Phoenix, whereas the rest of Rival get a Fire Giant without any sort of contest, then Layers might just die here. I don't think they're getting this Phoenix.
Yeah, I think Layers may have gone a little bit too aggressive. He does make it up onto the tree. Coviiii continues to look for the shots. They find it. That Phoenix is forever weakened. They may have lost their lives and the Fire Giant, but they at least get 2 tier 2s and a Phoenix, right?
That was actually really smart from Layers, knowing that he's dead because the Phoenix shot was on him. It's just got to wait until he lands down. So running doesn't make a big difference there. So instead, he knocks up both members that were left from Rival to make sure Coviiii can get that last auto in. I don't like the call by any stretch to go all for broke on the left side when that was a winnable team fight on the right, but with the hand they were dealt, that was a nice play from Layers to make sure that they actually at least get the primary objective.
Yeah, now that we're all in on this call, might as well at least do it well. And they do. Team Rival, though, have more than doubled them up here in the kill column now, have about a 4,000 gold lead, and they've got plenty of structures to take themselves to try and make things even worse for Astral Authority. They do have, though, a path. If Astral can drag this game out and can win a couple team fights, that duo lane side, it will be easier to push up through there now that that Phoenix has been taken down.
But that's exactly where Rival wants to push anyways. They should just keep pressure on that left-hand side and keep their Phoenix safe. Yes, it'll be a little bit harder to fight into the fire minions on that side of the map, but left side Phoenix is the one you want since it's furthest away from the Fire Giant, and that's where Rival should really be focusing their objectives anyways. So while nice for Astral Authority and does give them a win opportunity now, a win condition basically, it's still not ideal because Rival has a pretty easy response, and that's just use their Fire Giant and push down that lane.
It was a lot they ended up giving up, and now Rival with Fire Giant for another 2 minutes, and only the tier 2 tower remaining on the duo side of the map have plenty of work that they're going to be able to go in and get done. But how well has Team Rival been playing here in this game? And as a unit, Predators, now that they're in the team fight phase, has done a good job blinking in and finding those fearlesses. 50-meter fly. I don't know that he's missed much at all the whole time he's been here. I mean, he's looked excellent.
I just really dislike the decision to try and keep fly off Zeus and let Rapio get the Robin instead. I mean, Zeus is much more easily punished than Robin is. That's what I'm like.
Maybe on some other than 50-meter fly. No one's punished him all tournaments on the Zeus.
But it's even harder to punish him on Discordia.
That's
so
true.
You're not punishing him either way. You're letting Rapio get his best god in a comfort pick, especially one that he's displayed so well here on LAN. No matter what happens in this game, if Rival get Robin again, Astral has made a mistake.
Layers continue to box out with Predators on the right-hand side, but he's keeping too busy as the Phoenix Siege is on the duo side of the map. MOR Wolves goes in, but already at about half health. Damage is coming in for Oboronic, and up in the air is Layers, and he does find the knockup, but Bobby's already fallen. Predators finds that hit. Wolves is the next one that's in trouble, and Rapio hits him with the overhead kick. A killing spree for the jungler for Team Arrival. Next up is Coviiii, double kill for Rapio. Phoenix on the left-hand side now in trouble. Only Layers and oBoronic are left to try and defend, and Team Rival have a chance to break the base.
Oboronic has snipe, but no one's even low enough for it to kill. Even with the Soul Reaver proc, it'll be difficult for Oboronic to find a killing blow here, and they've got to wait 20+ seconds for Inbound to come back. Rival just gets mid Phoenix to buy time for their left side wave to get in. This is we're going to a 2-1 advantage here for Rival, and I don't know where to start for Astral Authority.
Yeah, Team Rival have yet again managed to respond to Astral Authority. They do it in the first game by looking and dominant from minute 1. In game 2 by weathering the storm that's come out from this Astral roster, and despite that 1-game advantage, Rival are now up 2-1. They're on tournament point. They win next game, we're done.
And honestly, with the way that they played with such momentum, it would kind of surprise me if they don't get a great draft, and Astral just seems to be falling apart a little bit. This is where someone with Inbound's experience, you heard him in the interviews at the beginning of the week, he was the voice that came to this team. This team had a lot of talent, but didn't have that leadership, whether it's Gundy, their coach that just walked in there on your screen, or Inbound, or whomever. These are not the faces you want to see. This is a rough set, but you got to have someone saying, hey, we're good, we're cool, just chill, we made a couple mistakes, that's easy fixes. You have to have someone that's going to set that tone in that team and let you know, yeah, you got to win 2 in a row, but it's only 2 in a row. How many times has Astral won 2 games in a row against very talented teams so far during the spring split? It's absolutely doable, but the mentality has got to be there, and I'm worried that it isn't right now.
There wasn't really much talking between them just now that we saw, right? Which is always bad when you start losing the communication. But who was your MVP from that game? Rapio certainly, I think, could be a strong candidate. So could 50-meter fly as well.
Yeah, I mean, take your pick. Basically, everyone played really well. Rapio and Fly and Predators, I think, are your three-headed Hydra there to decide from.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you wanted to pick one of those, but the desk is standing by to break down that game for us.
already get into it. So what are you feeling right now?
It's Predators. It's so obviously Predators, man.
There has to be. The tier was just fantastic. That counter rotation at 15 minutes when Astral Authority was getting over ahead of themselves. Layers dove a little bit too deep under the tier 1 tower. He was the first victim. And then we came in the tier, he rotated, he got that curse dunk off, and oBoronic, who had such a great game, got shut down in that fight. And I think that's where was the tipping point, because Astral Authority came out hot in the beginning off of oBoronic's plays, but then the tier shut it down.
oBoronic was, I mean, doing all of the heavy lifting, and we were talking in the green room about this. The mages, the mid laners, seem to be the ones doing the dirty work, but it's the solo laners that are setting the tone and the pace for the match. And here, it's going to be Predators that won Most Valuable Player, and I think well-deserved.
Yeah, that was definitely an incredible performance. And this is a consistent performance as well from Predators. I think that he has looked fantastic throughout the entirety of this LAN event, and it's only improving. That's the crazier part to note, is that alongside of Rapio, Predators and Rapio have just been playing off of each other so perfectly well that it's giving 50-meter Fly numerous opportunities to free cast. And I think that's the big difference here to note, is that we have not seen the same freedom given towards oBoronic. oBoronic has been under constant pressure, under constant smothering. He needs somebody to peel for him.
Whether or not